Hey, welcome in, everyone. Welcome to Dom Time with Dom Giordano. You know, for some time in Washington, we've heard both parties talk about comprehensive immigration reform. You've heard the phrase, the DREAM Act. And we're going to put on screen for you some of the parameters of the National DREAM Act, some of the things that have been laid out there that Congress talks about. Well, in addition to this National DREAM Act, the skeleton form that you see there, Pennsylvania, I have found out recently on my radio show, I was very surprised, is about ready to introduce, and these are Republicans introducing it, which is a nice twist, the Pennsylvania DREAM Act. And under the Pennsylvania DREAM Act, the critical element will be in-state tuition rates for those kids that are here or were brought here illegally by their parents. New Jersey has a similar act that failed a couple of years ago, and they're ready to revive it. So right here in our viewing area, we have both sides on this. And I actually had a Republican senator on, and we're going to put on screen for you, Senator Rafferty, a state senator in Pennsylvania, Montgomery County area, who told me essentially the comment that you see on screen, that if we don't do things like this, in his view, he feels kids that are here undocumented, illegal, whichever term you choose, may end up in gangs. Our guests tonight are two attorneys. I am not an attorney, although I play one on TV. No, just kidding. Joining us tonight is Michael Williams. He's an attorney in Philadelphia. And also joining us is Matt Rooney. Matt is an attorney, a founder of Save New Jersey, SaveNewJersey.com. Both are here with us tonight to talk about the Pennsylvania New Jersey DREAM Act and some of the parameters. Guys, thanks for joining us. Attorney Williams, I'll start with you.
Thank you,
and ask you, tell me why in the world, I know that you favor this in-state tuition rate. That would mean someone listening tonight, someone viewing tonight, if they went to Penn State and they were in New Jersey, they would pay about $28,000 a year. If they got the Pennsylvania rate, it's around $15,000 a year. Why should a kid in Pennsylvania get that rate when a viewer tonight, just on the other side of the line, can't get it?
My view, I think, is very confined to the fact that if they were raised in Pennsylvania, they pay taxes in Pennsylvania, their families pay taxes here, they were part of Pennsylvania's economy, and they are, notwithstanding the fact that they are undocumented, they are Pennsylvania residents. I think that is the fairest thing to do, is to let them pay in-state tuition. I think it's injurious if they don't.
Fairness argument. You can make it to Attorney Williams' point here, Attorney Rooney. I feel as if I need a judge's gavel here tonight. But why is that not fair? What the heck are we going to do with these kids? I have a state senator, Republican, telling me they may end up in gangs. There's a lot of gangs out in Chester County.
Well, and see, that's the part that I can't quite wrap my mind around when I hear the left of center or liberal position on this. I understand that when children come here and they're undocumented, they're illegal, it creates a lot of problems for them as they try to develop and integrate themselves in American society. Okay. But unless we have an enforcement first component, unless we have a way for these children to become normalized citizens when they're first coming in, then I don't know how we're really solving the problem. We're just creating a larger magnet.
What would you do with them? I'll ask you, what are you going to do with them? They're here. I got a state senator tell me they're joining gangs if they don't go to Villanova. I'm going to play a girl later on tonight who got kicked out of Villanova because she couldn't afford the in-state tuition rate. And they're serious about this. What would you do with them then? What's fair for them?
I think what's fair for them is to do what would be the best policy for the United States of America, which is that we could consider some variation of the DREAM Act for children that are here, but you're only going to continue to compound the problem unless you first deal with enforcement and you do something to control the border. Because at that point, if we're not going to control the border, if we're not going to worry about enforcement, we're simply creating a larger magnet for more people to come into this country the wrong way. And that's just going to perpetuate the cycle we've already seen, Dom, which is people coming into this country and, unlike our ancestors, not moving up the social ladder after a few generations.
Well, Robert, I would ask you, 90% of people that call me on the air, and you've heard my show, I know, they say, Michael, they say that this is just fairness, unfairness toward them. They're taxpayers. They're not mean to these kids, but you just can't give them in-state. Why not go to community college?
See,
why not go to a cheaper college?
Well, first of all, I think that we should. I was on the board of trustees at Temple for about 8 years.
Right.
And one of the things that we instituted while I was there on the board, for kids who weren't ready to go to school, we encouraged them to go to community college, and we had to deal with them. It would be cheaper for them to go there and then to try to finish their degree at Temple. Back to just fairness for these kids still are already here. And I want to distinguish between enforcement, which I understand that is an argument, as far as these kids are already here. They've already been educated.
But
in
I would say
systems.
to you, here's the bottom line. They're going to be able to go to college. No one is challenging them. No one's going to round them up. I wouldn't sanction that, bother them. Why should we reward them? Isn't this a reward?
I don't think it's a reward. I think it's the same thing to do because they are Pennsylvania residents, except for the fact
Not citizens, though.
not citizens. I know. and
Well,
I
that's a
think
hurdle. I want to hear you get over that hurdle. How do you get over it?
Well, this I would say I'm not the representative of these folks because I'm a corporate attorney. However, I do feel that they are in all way, shape, and form residents because they've lived here. If they were brought here, and again, not because they wanted to, because their parents brought them to. They brought them through school. They've done everything that they were supposed to do as good citizens, and they stayed out of trouble. Now they want to go to college. Other Pennsylvania residents are able to take advantage of the in-state tuition. And that, particularly these folks in the margin, I think will be, and not only
But
fair.
not New Jersey residents. We could
because
be a
they're not
foot over the line.
They're not Pennsylvania
These
residents.
kids aren't either. They're not. They have no residency status, right? As a matter of law, are they residents?
Well, I'm hoping that through this DREAM Act, this takes
Okay,
care
but
of both
as
of
now,
those.
are they residents? Should we even call them residents?
Well, they live here. They're not citizens.
Is that a legal term?
correct.
All right.
That's a legal term.
all right.
And you're absolutely right. They don't live here as far as being citizens, but they do live here.
It makes
and
me
they've gone
feel
through our
mean even
school.
saying it
No,
because
but
they're
you shouldn't
human
be mean.
beings.
It's also economics. I mean,
We'll get to the economics. I want to
Yeah.
get some callers in, though. You can get to this at 866-472-8868. The two attorneys here, we have a lot more information to bring you to. We'd love to get you on board. The question is this: when you strip down the DREAM Act, what do we do with these kids that are here in Pennsylvania and New Jersey? We'll get to that straight ahead on Dom Time.